Alright, have hit the button. Should be making a video. Do a few of these little things, popping out chats and whatnot. Blah, 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 and such. And then we'll move on to an Ryan Gosling video. In whatever. Somewhere around here, I believe. Oh, that's this bar's lamb. You know, that's some more videos. So anyway, we'll do this one first. And it's just so obnoxious. And blah, 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 blah. And you're just like, what the fuck? I don't get you people. I mean, it's so arrogant and stupid. You know, just wonder why he's being so stupidly arrogant. So anyway, I did write a response and actually put it on the website, just for fun. Yeah, over here. Yeah, you can't see it in there, but it's over there, and such. So, just to give early notice, I suppose, to those who bother reading that crap anyway. So the trolls like to post there, but yeah, not much to see, frankly. So anyway. So yeah, we'll just play this and go through it. So I only watched half of it and responded to half of it, and we'll do, you know, more. We'll do the rest. We'll play it, and just go through all the parts that are bullshit, wrong, incorrect, stupid. All right, let's see. Everything should be working. Yeah, so we'll hope for the best here. And such.
Hello again. I'm going to try again with this spring stored energy business, because
no, you're going to try again with exactly the same argument that I already said. Why are you multiplying the force times the distance when you have no reason to? I mean, the force causes the distance. That would be Hooke's law. There's a direct correlation between the force and the outcome. Certainly Newton would tell you the force is going to create the distance. So you're basically multiplying a cause times an effect. And I would say that once you're doing that in an equation, you've got to say there's no good reasoning for that equation. That equation's cheating somehow, or you've done too many replacements, or you've messed it up in some way, because you really shouldn't be multiplying causes times effects, because that can't really tell you anything. You need to multiply causes times causes and to find effects, or you need to divide, effects by a cause to find another cause, that kind of thing. But this doesn't make any sense.
it's so important, and I think it completely...
it's so important, and you have no evidence from regular physics. You can't just link to a rational video explaining this crap, so why do you think your individual interpretation of reality is somehow the truth when no physicist says it? Professor Lewin doesn't say it. He says you got to conserve momentum. He says twice the mass, half the speed. He doesn't say what you're saying. All right. Okay, so I say multiplying force times distance is nonsensical. The force is the cause and the distance is the effect. What useful information can be gleaned from multiplying causes times an effect? And I go further to say, when a constant force is being applied, and then usually this is being applied for gravity, okay, and look, it's already conceded, you're going to get this 4 times the distance, and it isn't going to mean anything because it's only twice the velocity, twice the weight, and twice the amount of time to travel 4 times the distance. So you're only in the gravity falling twice the amount of time, and the force is 9.8 meters per second. So I've already made these arguments. All right, and he's remaking the same video saying the same crap when I've already made arguments that say, what's the point of making this argument to me? I don't believe it's 4 times. I don't believe that the gravitational force gives you energy based on how far you travel in gravity. I've already explained why it doesn't work. I've explained why I think, it's undeniable that the faster I go by a gravitational source, the less I'm bent by it. So where have you countered any of those arguments? Oh, that's right, you haven't. All right. The equation should be force times time. The force is collected in quantities of time. Not quantities of distance, quantities of time. It matters how long you're free falling, not how far you free fall. The faster and faster you go as you're free falling, in each unit of time, you're getting the same amount of energy added to your impact force. The feet don't matter. Alright, it only takes twice the velocity or twice the weight to compress a spring twice as much. So a spring works the same way in the sense that the spring is just saying the two numbers are important. Okay, so I want to increase the compression of a spring. It's sort of as Newton said, you just you double the force, you double the momentum, it doesn't matter. Same difference. Alright, let's see, put simply, it doesn't take 4 times the time to fall 4 times the distance. Only twice the time, only 2 units of force, only a doubling of the weight. So he's going to just keep reiterating this point, so that's why I read a few of the comments.
Explains the idea of the squared term that keeps cropping up.
It doesn't explain anything.
Without the need to resort to these complicated experiments with contraptions and mechanisms.
Yeah, look, they're not that complicated. It's just that, yes, it's like anything. It's like handling dangerous bacteria in a lab or doing something. You have to be a little bit careful. So what? Not that challenging.
Which are very hard to do, and then they're sort of rubbished out of hand. It's quite disheartening, really.
Yeah, the rubbish out of hand is if you have so many broken elements that you're doomed to failure. So you don't have a quick release, you're using multiple springs, you don't have things tied down, rigidly. It's a rickety experiment. Rickety experiment's not a good idea.
Makes it, this is a sort of a logical progression of thought.
So there's nothing logical about it. I mean, even the fact that he chose these 2 and 4 numbers, there's nothing logical, okay? It's just a piece of, garbage. He's basically just saying he could do weight times distance. He could do lots of things times distance, and he's going to get the same wrong answer.
But most people can follow quite readily, even children.
So I point out what even children can understand here. So let's see. Only a doubling. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, it only takes twice the energy to double the compression of a spring. So all I have to do is add another weight. So if I want twice the weight, I just pick up the same 1 weight, put another 1 weight on the scale. So I only do 2 units of work, 1 unit of work, 2 units of work, and I do 2 compressions of the spring. So it's perfectly linear. It is not a multiplied thing. Alright. Mass into the precision that compresses a spring twice as much. I do 4 times the I don't do 4 times the work, I just do twice the work. So twice the work compresses the spring twice as much. That's pretty much Hooke's law. Alright. If I only do twice the work to create twice the compression, I can't have made 4 times the energy. Even a child can understand. That's free energy. If I only do 2 units of work and I get 4 units of energy out, then there's something wrong in the universe. Or there's something wrong that we haven't exploited that free energy.
And it's aimed at Gary, really, because he seems to be having a bit of trouble following basic rationale.
Right, so and I say that kind of crap to you back. So again, he hasn't responded to any of the counter arguments. He just ignores them. And so I'm just redundantly making them here. There's no reason I should have to keep remaking them. Let's see. You must not be able to do basic rational thinking to believe in free 2 makes 4 energy. Wow, you're really irrational.
Rational thinking, despite his protestation about being the only one in the world that has any. It seems to be the inverse, if you ask.
Well, yeah, who would ask you except a moron? So that's the whole problem. A moron asks moron. You have no evidence. You can't link to any videos by any professionals arguing this crap you're arguing. It's not a real theory. Obviously, the professionals evade the subject because they don't want to really deal with the fact that all those twos are hanging about. You know, twice the velocity, twice the weight, twice the time. Yeah, and they're going to claim there's four of something important, when no, there's two of something important.
To me, but I'm going to persevere and see how we get on. This spring.
So persevere means I'll ignore all arguments made, countering my babble, and just keep babbling.
Is that in a rest condition. Now it can be extended, which we're going to do. We're going to pull it by hand. It's not going to be hung vertically and have weights hung on it. Forget.
It doesn't matter. It's all well-established fact that it compresses by the same rules it expands. Whatever.
Get that idea.
So we're going to forget the idea of Hooke's law, basically the demonstration of Hooke's law, that you just double the weight and you'll double the stretch of the spring. So clearly no indication of any foring of anything.
And to move this spring, extend it by hand. It could be compressed, doesn't matter which, but we're going to have it extended. So this is the start position. And as we extend the spring, we're going along the distance here. It's expanding the spring. And we're going to go...
Yes, we're going to have an outcome because we're basically just increasing the weight, and then we're saying, look, there's this completely consistent increase in the stretch of the spring, and somehow we're going to multiply these numbers times each other for no damn good reason. It'll tell you absolutely nothing. The force is energy. You've already multiplied energy, so you're done. You can't, you can't do it twice. Multiplying it times the outcome isn't going to give you the answer. You have to multiply it times what's relevant, which is the force. I mean the time.
I'm going to expand roughly 2 inches, say. This represents 2, this distance. Now, as you expand the string by hand, obviously the force required,
the weight, pressure,
is getting more and more and more for each little increment of length. Now Gary was sort of denying this before.
So that's just a lie. I respond to the lie with the cliche lie that I ever suggest springs don't incrementally compress and increase pressure with increased pressure. Gravity, by the way, is quite correctly understood as a pressure per millisecond force. So you can cut these things into increments of time, and you can understand that gravity is clearly almost like a frequency. In a sense, it just keeps on hitting you a certain amount of energy, 3 little things per millisecond, whatever it might be, hits you and causes an effect. And it's about time. And frankly, it's about time creating a weight. Even if you go horizontal, you're doing the same thing. You're creating a weight by giving something a velocity. And so velocity is the key thing. Time is the key thing. You multiply how long you go 60 miles an hour times 60 miles an hour, and you get the answer about what energy it took, because it's really just about how long were you applying a given amount of energy to a system.
Which is quite unbelievable. So it's gonna be a bit tedious, but we're gonna find out whether he has any basic thinking skills, really.
So I said, can someone who believes in 2 units of work equals 4 units of energy be considered logical, reasonable, or rational, etc.? So that's my counter argument to that spew.
Basic rational thought, logical thought, because this is so simple and it's so obvious and so natural. So as we pull this...
So let's understand what he's saying is natural and obvious. It's clearly not obvious or natural that 2 units of work should produce 4 units of energy. Not natural.
The force required is getting harder and harder for every increment. Not quantized, not hang a weight down here and it's going to be one force, hang another weight. Forget that, Gary. You
So hang a force, hang a weight. He says, forget that. Well, that's basically Hooke's law. So he says, forget Hooke's law, and I say, question mark. I mean, why? Why should we forget it? We should just understand it. There's a direct proportional relationship between force and distance in a spring. So there's no reason to multiply them times each other because there's a direct cause and effect relationship between them.
Try and follow along with what I'm saying.
Fuck you in the ass until dead.
And this is an appeal to some of your people that watch you. And I'd like them to comment on my video.
Okay, so I said to that, let's see. People should comment on the belief that 2 units of work can equal 4 units of energy. Yeah, they should comment on that. Can 2 units of work produce 4 units of energy? Can that happen? He said so.
And honestly say whether they can follow what I'm saying. I'm sure they can. It's only you, and the only person I've ever heard complain about this.
Right, the only person who really researched it, pointed out how there really is no evidence. It was all just religious theory, religious war, blah, blah, blah. Living force is its origin. This is just, free willy in the middle of physics.
And the other things is you. Nobody else in the world has ever suggested the potential energy of a spring goes at the square of the distance extending it. And I've never heard anybody even try to deny that.
So I don't even understand that. Where do you come from? Where do you get that from? I played a video of the guy pointing out the duality, that there's 2 formulas, right? The Parth video. He clearly points out there's 2 formulas. They get 2 different answers. It really doesn't make much sense. Yeah. So lie some more. I mean, I don't even, what the fuck is that? I mean, you point it out, you play the videos, and they still don't care. So I said, nobody in the world believes you can't make 4 units of energy out of 2 units of work, except me. So I'm the only one, huh? I think Professor Lewin knows you can't do that. I think he knows, twice the speed, half the mass, that kind of stuff. Proportional relationship.
Ridiculous. So I'm going to try and hold your feet to the fire and see if we can get some honesty out of you.
All right, so talking about honesty in this environment is just disgusting from these people. Let's see. I'm being dishonest by pointing out it only takes twice the weight to move a spring twice the distance. So by pointing out that it only takes, 2 units of energy to compress the spring twice as much, I'm being dishonest. Yeah, no, I don't think so.
So you're pulling on this spring now, and as you expand this spring along this distance line, you see, obviously the force is having to go up for every increment. This is where you would mark one little distance here of pull would equal this little bit of force here.
Yeah, same force. So force equals distance. It's just force equals distance. Force equals distance. It causes the distance. You don't multiply them times each other. It just doesn't give you the product of anything. There's no product here. Force is energy. You put the energy in, you got the energy out in the effect of the distance in the spring. The end. There's no other magical energy involved. Force is energy. Shit.
Yeah. And then you'd go along here and you'd mark it on this line. And then a bit more distance, you'd have this extra bit of force here, then you could go along there. It creates a line up here. A force line, an effort line. As we go along, pulling.
I could multiply how much shit you're talking times how much nonsense you're talking, and that's not going to give me anything that means anything either.
The force required is going up. Is there anybody that disagrees with that?
Disagrees with what? That the energy multiplied times the distance means we have extra energy.
Please get a spring and pull it in one steady moment, Gary. One steady movement. We're not jerking it. coming up.
Well, you really are, frankly. Okay, you have to keep increasing the momentum. So if you don't increase the momentum, you don't get anything back from the spring. So you do have to jerk your velocity, or you have to jerk your weight. You have to either apply more gravitational weight, some other kind of mechanism. You have to use your body English to pull the spring further. You have to create more mass moving or more velocity.
We're going to pull it slowly in one movement, slow or fast, doesn't matter which. And as we pull it, extend it.
It does matter. I mean, slow just means you're stopping more. You still have to create the extra pressure. I mean, it's extra pressure that compresses springs, so you have to keep adding pressure. And you add pressure by increasing velocity or increasing mass. Alright, springs are compressed or expanded by weight, and weight is pressure, and pressure is synonymous with momentum. To make more pressure, you need more mass or more velocity.
The force required goes up on this axis. Creates this line. Everything under this line.
It's just multiplying turtles times frogs, or ducks times trees. It just can't mean anything.
Represents the effort or the work.
So it really doesn't. Okay, what represents the work is the force line over here, the little linear line. That's the work. You already did the work to move the spring. You're done with answering questions. If you know how much force there was and you know how much distance you got, you're done.
Done. We'll say the effort.
Yeah, frankly, if you know how much force you have, you're already done, because it's a law, the distance.
I hope everybody can agree with that. Let me know if you don't, or let me know if you do, please.
So I've already made the videos numerous times, pointed out these arguments, saying that doesn't work, you can't do that, that's broken, and you pay no attention. Alright, so I say again, why would I multiply the exclusive cause? Okay, so it's kind of the exclusive cause is the force. Now, obviously, the non-exclusive cause would be the velocity and the mass. So those two you need to multiply times each other, but you don't need to multiply the force times the distance. Alright, the force, which equals the momentum, pressure, weight. That is the only thing you need to know. Newton already told you. It is the same thing. Force equals momentum times the effect of how much the spring is moved. Why would you do that? By Hooke's law, the force equals displacement. So you already know the output. You already know the outcome. There's no for involved. There's two force in, then two compressions out. Two distances. The displacement is the product decided exclusively by the amount of applied maximum force weight. So the maximum force you apply will tell you how far you expanded the spring. The maximum momentum applied.
I'd really like to hear from any of the people that watch Gary's videos. This is an appeal to them, because I don't think Gary can. He can't follow reason. He's not demonstrated that he is so far.
Whatever. So I'll see if there's any last thing I said to this before I stopped reading. The pathetic liar states I haven't responded to his argument. Okay. When in fact I have repeatedly pointed out it only takes twice the work to apply twice the weight to the spring. I can compress the spring twice as much while only applying 2 units of force. It's a fact. And that is energy. It is he who is unresponsive to every fact stated. For example, the force of gravity happens in units of time. Why are they counting units of distance? Kind of an obvious flaw in their reasoning.
So I'm appealing to anybody else. Is there anybody else like him that can't follow this? You pull in the spring, it gets harder and harder to pull it as you extend it. That's okay. Now we've got this area now. This is the work done or the effort.
Says you.
Now if you said to somebody that I've extended this spring to here, it's 2 inches length. it's equivalent to a certain amount of work. They say, well, what is that work? And you say, well, look at this. There's a graph here. This area is the amount of work. They say, what use is that? That don't tell me nothing, does it? It's just an area. So we've got to...
No, it doesn't tell me anything because I already know the force equals the work. I already know force is energy. So you already established how much energy you put in. And you can't get more out. So that's just your insanity to think force is something other than energy.
Find out the area of this triangle. See, it's a triangle. It's easy, really, isn't it? See, this red square, to find the area of a triangle, it's the base times the height. That's a very simple idea. Gary couldn't seem to follow this even, which worries me. Base times the height, 2 times 2 is 4 of this square. But we want this triangle, so it's half the square. So we could say the area is represents 2 units of energy, whatever system of energy.
So there was some sort of good reasoning for why it's only twice the area. I mean, it's only a 2-dimensional diagram. Why shouldn't it be the entire area? Why is it only under the graph? But regardless, it doesn't matter. Why would I multiply a cause times an effect?
You're using 2 units of energy to extend the spring to here.
So clearly you don't use 2 units
here's
of energy.
The interesting part. What?
Yeah, okay. But by distance, if he's going to say 1 inch is a unit of energy, then yes, it's 2 units of force. 2 units of energy. That's all there are. There's nothing more.
Oh, we get the squared term.
He says.
And we're going to have a spring that can extend to double this length.
Okay, so he can't link to any physicist arguing this 1.4 crap, and yet he'll say we. We who? You 5 trolls?
For 4 inches. There's no problem with its... whatever they call it when you overextend a spring, you know, it goes out of shape, I forget what they call it. It's linear proportionate, and that can be engineered quite easily, so there's no problem with the spring going double it in. So at this point, when we've got to here, we carry on extending the spring. Let's pull it. So it's going to get harder and harder, each little millimetre, more force required, more force required, more force required. Isn't it? Obviously, isn't it? Like an elastic band. More force, more. Going up here, this line is now going up here. Extended, force, and we end up there, 4 inches in total displacement. Now, what area represents the total work done? Well, it's all this blue here, and including this. It's this big square, which is the blue square. You might not see that it's blue. It's this big square. We want to find half of this big square, again this triangle. So 4 base, 4 height, 16. Half of 16 is 8. So to extend the spring from here to here, we have 2 in this triangle, units of energy. But to carry on, only double in the length of the spring. Just double in the length of the spring.
All it takes is a doubling of the force. I just use twice the force. I use twice the energy. I store twice the energy into the spring. I don't store 4 times the energy. The spring doesn't store 4 times the energy. So the whole thing is crap.
We've now got 8 units of energy, which is 4 times 2. Does everybody see that? Please let me know. Please leave a comment on my YouTube.
How could that make any sense to anybody?
On his live.
How could that make sense to anyone? 1, 2, 3. You got 3 triangles here. I don't know where you get the 8 from. Why? I have no idea. The whole thing is incomprehensible mush.
Stream.
I didn't
really
know it got
like to
this
know
stupid.
if you can see this and you can follow this, because I think it's only him. We can't see the logic in this. This explains why you have this squared term. It's completely rational. From here to here, the force is having to go up, obviously.
So he's saying it's two amounts of force here, and then it's 8 here. So these two aren't even proportional. So this one and this one, everything was just fine, nothing squared. All of a sudden it squares when he goes past 2. All of a sudden now I'm squaring everything. I didn't square the individual units, but now I'm going to square whatever a 2 is into an 8. I don't know exactly how the square of 2 is 8, but whatever.
This is representative. Doubling the length to there. The force has now gone up to there. You've got all of this area, this big triangle now, to go twice the distance. It's 8 times, it's 4 times the work. 4 times 2 is 8.
So it's obviously not 4 times the work. It's certainly not 4 times 2 is 8. The work, whatever all that crap is, only takes 2 units of energy. That's it. To lift twice the weight. That's it. Not 4 units of energy. You can't have stored more energy than you put in. Not possible.
Please leave a comment if you disagree or you can't see the logic in that. Thank you.
So that was just really, really bad. Nobody commented much, but we'll go see what the comments are. But that was just pitiful. I mean, shit. And so it's remained up, this video, for whatever, 3 days now, or 2 days. Well, it says 1 day ago, I guess. I don't know. I didn't make a video yesterday. So, yeah, only 3 comments. Let's see if there's anything else hiding. No comments hidden. So they didn't have much to say. All right. So we could read this without much trouble. Yes, E equals 1/2 x squared. So obviously they also do the kx. You know, the other equation is E equals kx. No squaring term for a spring. The k being the spring constant. We can leave the spring constant k out because it's 1 here. I don't know why he knows it's 1, but whatever, it doesn't matter. All right, Michael says his logic will probably tell him it should be triangled, not squared. He's the one doing the triangles under the graph is somehow how you multiply. You multiply by only considering half the area you create by the multiplication. So a square means a triangle. So you can't even get the terminology right. So a number squared doesn't mean a number squared, it means a number triangled. Good, clear explanation, Ian. Great job, mate. So, clear to who? Consistent with what theories of what persons in history? I mean, I can't make any, no way to make sense out of that piece of shit. And he says, whatever, the thanks, mate. No prizes for guessing the response, though. Yeah, I'll make the same response I made to you when you previously suggested this horse shit, and I pointed out the very same arguments. It only takes twice the work. It only takes twice the work to lift 2 batteries. 1 battery lifted, an amount of work. 2nd battery lifted, twice the work. It's not 4 times the work. Can't be 4 times the energy. Too stupid, fucker. Alright, well, that was disappointing. Alright, so now we'll do disbar videos. Oh. Who wants to even imagine how bad these are? Alright, so this is his response to the free momentum. I think this is the free energy device. So this is the one where he finally answers my question. Why can't I just exploit your free energy theory? Okay, so let's see what this crap is first. Ugh. Fucking morons. So he plays, quote, mines my videos. Alright. Emendum is using rhetorical arguments. So I guess I already played this. You say, assume all energy was transferred. Gary says, I never said that. That looks like a different comment. Well, let's just play it. Maybe I'll remember. No, this is the video where he just played the clips and he didn't bother to in any way respond to the actual comments. So we'll see what else there is. He doesn't make the assumption and follow the argument. What if? Because that is what you want. That is what shows how the idea doesn't fit together with reality. So again, there's no evidence that anything I've suggested doesn't fit with reality. There's no volume of evidence pointing out where momentum fails to get a correct answer. So they'll never provide us evidence of these failed experiments. That is, he weaves together analytic and rhetorical arguments using rhetorical arguments. And you're redundant. Yeah, okay. Let's see, 18 responses. Holy shit. Alright, let's see. John Walker is not interesting. Let's see. Okay, I agree with you this initially, but I'm trying to understand the grumpy old man's theory. And you're just a slandering little weaselly putz. Fucking think you're something. Trying to be something. Let's see. So Mindless says, interesting. I think I understand, but I'm not sure 100%. Can I try to relate what I think you're saying in my own words? In Gary's theory, 100% transfer of energy means 1 kilogram object stops and the 2 kilogram object leaves with 1/2 the velocity. Yes, if it were possible, if you can Newton's cradle it, if you can put enough elasticity between it, a good enough spring, I guess, you could get that response. Sometimes you see it do things similar to that. Frankly, I did enough of the experiments to say, gee, sometimes more of the energy gets in. So springs change how much energy you can get into something depending on how the springs hit. Now, if there is less than 100% transfer, yes, then the leftover energy from the 1 kilogram object is still motion forward. Yes, every time you bang a little thing into a big thing, you see the little thing reflect in the opposite direction, indicating the energy didn't go in, it was reflected, and now the little object has it going in the opposite direction. Not that complicated. Hence, there is no case where the 1 kilogram mass can be reflected in the setup in Gary's theory. So it doesn't make any sense. Why would I never suggested it can't happen? I'm saying if less energy goes into the 1 kilogram, then the leftover energy has to go back. I mean, into the 2 kilogram. If you don't get half the velocity out of the 2 kilograms, the rest of the velocity is somewhere, and the somewhere is in the 1. How could this possibly be this complicated to these morons? So anyway, so they're arguing a semantics argument has really nothing. I've said it so many times and done it over and over again. This lie they're trying to put in my mouth is just so disgustingly stupid. I think it is interesting observation point when you said somehow it uses its own energy, those two momentums to push itself in the other direction, which is not possible. But I think this is rigorously justified, except for the fact that Professor Lewin said all over the place it don't happen. There's a law against it. However, I think I agree with your conclusion still. If the 1 kilogram object gets reflected from the collision where 8 momentums are transferred out of 10, then it will end up getting reflected in a perfect collision. I don't know what that means, because there is an infinitesimal time interval where the momentum has to continually drain from 10 to 1. So says you that's how it works. So he's an expert on how energy is transferred between elastic objects in the trilliseconds of time it takes for the event to take place. He knows how it works. But continually there will be a point where the 1 kilogram mass has 2 momentums. It can't get all of the energy because obviously, yes, as the one thing speeds up, it slows down. So it can't really, you can't expect the light object to get all the energy into the heavy object, which is when it has to be moving in the opposite direction. Okay, so let's see if there's anything else here. Won't bother with Boto. Let's see what he said. LOL, it's hard for me to take someone seriously when they can't even understand the difference between acceleration and velocity. Yes, I certainly don't make any distinction. Velocity and velocity, they're both the same thing. All you're saying is one of them is changing, one of them's not changing. Exactly the same thing, mass and velocity. It's a thing moving in space. You can change how fast it moves or not change how fast it moves, and it doesn't mean a goddamn thing, frankly. All right, changing its speed just means you added some force, as Newton's second law clearly says. It's not very complicated. You just change the momentum. All right. This is stuff high school kids measure by the end of the 50-minute class. According to draft, if I change my velocity from 30 miles an hour to 60 miles an hour, yes, all you've done is cut your velocity in half. That's it. It doesn't matter whether I made the change in 1 second. Yes, of course it doesn't matter. The change is the outcome. That's all that matters. Are in 1 hour because they are the same acceleration. Well, that's what they are. It's just a fact that you only applied that much net force. And it's always about the net force. All that matters is the final change in velocity. Well, what else could possibly matter, frankly? I mean, yeah, you could push something and then pull something and then push something and pull something. I'm not saying that isn't work, but I'm saying it doesn't have anything to do with the net effect on an object. All right, he doesn't understand the difference between first derivatives and second derivatives. Yeah, the whole derivative thing I'm kind of down on, frankly. Yeah, okay. It just seems like a way of bending reality. So this is where you bend reality, okay, is through your derivatives. This is doubly ironic because derivatives are the bread and butter of calculus, which is apparently the bread and butter of free energy. Apparently, you're basically making this argument, you're all free energy, loop-de-doo nuts, except you don't think the energy is collectible. You believe in an energy that can never be collected. So I guess your math must be broken if you could believe something so fucking goddamn stupid. And he forces himself to be a Shirley MacLaine style reincarnation of Newton. I don't know. So who does Shirley MacLaine say she's a reincarnation of? And it'd be nice. I mean, it'd be nice if one of you thought Newton deserved to be defended, okay? Because you slander him all over the place. I mean, you pretend it was his physics that came up with mv squared when it wasn't. You pretend he didn't oppose Leibniz directly when he did. And made the salient argument that levers don't work by your theory. So you don't care about the history. So let's understand, these people do not care about accurately describing the history at all. They don't care about people's reputations. They will slander them, call them all kinds of names, say they were woo-assists in all kinds of ways when they never said the crap they put in its mouth. So people put crap in Newton's mouth, and it's not Newton's physics, and they're just lying about what Newton believed. Okay, and then we'll just dismiss this as trolling like everything else. Well, it really was a troll video. I mean, he didn't prove I said what he implied I said, so that was clearly trolly. Alright, so we already did that, so we'll do something different. Let's see, 2 draft science. How does cart 1 transfer its energy? I mean, what do you mean? Who knows exactly how energy is transferred in a Newton's cradle? Does anybody know? I can only suggest that it is transferred at the speed of sound in the material. I mean, that's been pretty well established, but the exact method of pushing on electrons and pushing on atoms, and whether it's, you basically could call it electricity in a way that travels through the objects to equalize their condition, and that's what really is happening. The two things hit each other and they try to equalize their condition, and if they don't have enough time to equalize their condition, then the result will be a bit of chaos. Alright, no more bold claims. Let me start the video with, do you think I'm correct that this is what happens in your theory? No, I'm not gonna accept there's a reflection and all the energy was transferred in the opposite direction. So that's too stupid. I mean, I've already been over it. I mean, I've drawn the pictures of it. I did the experiment. I don't need to reiterate anything to you, you fucking piece of shit. The fact that you can't pay any attention, that's your problem. It's not the world's problem. I specifically want to discuss the very moment where the one mass transfers its energy to the two mass. Well, it's not a very moment. That's a fact. The Newton's cradle does take a little bit of time to transfer the energy. If you compare the two, something freely flying and then something transferring, it takes a little extra time. Oh, what an asshole. And let's understand, these are super elastic collisions. So your whole thing depends on a super elastic. They put springs on the hard metal because the hard metal by itself can't produce the effect. So they have to put springs on the carts because they can't make the experiment happen otherwise. They can't make it happen without putting clay on it. So this is all a response to the fact that I pointed out all the rational reasons why Professor Lewin's experiment can be understood to be a fucking cheat. Okay? I diagrammed all the missing pieces, the fact that there's no reasonable, if you're in a courtroom, there's no way you say, Professor Lewin's completely exonerated and is innocent. The evidence doesn't indicate that. Alright, by elastic collision, I mean an encounter between two bodies in which total kinetic energy... I don't give a fuck about your made-up mv squared. There's just mv. So why don't you just say the total mv? Fuck you. Of the two bodies remains the same. Fuck you. I don't accept this retarded premise that the square of the velocity remains the same, that the two objects have the same velocity, that the squared term remains equal. Fuck you. You're the one with the silly theory that if I make a 10-ton train, a 5-ton train, and I add 5 tons to its weight, and then it's traveling along, that somehow it's magically lost half its energy. That 10-ton train going 5 miles an hour has half the momentum or pressure that it can apply to something. Okay, even though it has the same momentum, explicitly. You're saying it somehow has the less of this magical energy. Yeah. You've never proved it. Not a single experiment showing us the 4 times the fuel to go twice as fast, and yet you reiterate this shit. You keep saying it in bold text like I owe you some evidence. No, you owe me evidence, fucktard. Let's take the example again where the two mass ends up with less than half the speed. Duh. Exactly how the experiment generally comes out. I would argue the only way it comes out, okay, the way it came out in the high school teacher example, the two mass cart leaves with a little less than all the momentum, and a little cart leaves with a little tiny bit of remainder momentum. One cart starts to press into two cart, transferring momentum. Okay. What the hell is this? Why is it moving around? What's the point of all that? At this point, one cart stops transferring its momentum because two cart has reached the speed which is just a bit less than half the speed. Just a bit? I don't know. Could be a lot depending on how heavy the things are. And it should reach half the speed, only at best. Well, why do you keep doing this? Yeah, it generally speaking, again, you put springs in between things, and guess what? It does change the scenario. So I can't say that any kind of K-value spring, that is the stiffest spring in the universe, may well allow you to duplicate the Newton's cradle. So if you use the sloppier the spring you use, okay, the less likely. But the stiffer the spring, the more likely you're going to have the extra bonus of pushing these two objects away evenly. That is, one will get half the energy and the other... Yeah, so that's the opposite effect. The stiffer the spring, the more bounce. My argument is that cart 1 still has the intention, whatever that means, to move in the same direction or press into cart 2 because it's still left with 2 momentum and that wasn't transferred. I have no idea what that means. My argument is that cart 1 still has the intention to move in the same direction. Doesn't matter. The point is that the energy went from one object into the other object, and that my point is that if the energy can't move the atoms, the energy has to be converted into something. And I'm saying the simple something in the case of these hard objects is not heat. The simple something is reflection. The vibration goes in. It's like sound. It's moving. The vibration, go that way, go that way, go that way is moving into the heavier mass. Go that way, go that way, go that way. The heavier mass says, I can't go that way at the speed you put in. Can't do it. so it reflects the energy back. The energy it can't move, the speed it can't go at, it can't accept, so it reflects it. I mean, this argument shouldn't even be an argument, right? I mean, they're basically trying to defend some kind of notion, okay, that if I put two things this way, okay, and I shoot an arrow, so to speak, in between the two things, and I cause this one to go this way and this one to go this way, that's not any work. I didn't use up any energy. That's zero energy. Because I had one going this way and one going that way, I couldn't have possibly did any work or created any energy. So my arrow will still have exactly the same momentum. It won't use any of its momentum. I mean, they believe that you could, bang something into something and make sparks and make noise and dent things and smash things, and you don't have to use up any momentum. They think that the car crashes into another car and it just continues at exactly the same speed, even though it dent the fuck out of the car. Because the other car stops. Somehow, all the denting, all the work, it didn't require any energy. No momentum lost. The car leaves at exactly the same velocity it went into the crash with. That's the implications of what they're arguing. How can that possibly be the truth, you retards? Alright, well, anyway, I think as long as cart 1 has momentum in and of itself, whatever that means, it will continue to move forward and press against cart 2. Okay, so I don't know what the fuck that could possibly mean to me. I think any movement in the universe is energy. And you can't undo something's energy by just saying there's energy going the other way. That doesn't undo it. Mass moving is energy. Only when cart... Oh, fuck you. Only when cart 1 has transferred all its momentum, it can no longer press against cart 2. So that's not how the transfers take place. So you have a whole theory about how atoms transfer energy. Well, I'm arguing that they have to do the calculation, essentially. It takes time. The object hits... The object has to decide whether to move, just like you do. So in the case of gravity, it pushes on your ass, but your head doesn't move because your body absorbs the energy in pieces because it's not rigid steel. But if it was rigid steel, yeah, this whole piece of steel would have to move in the gravity, right? All the atoms have to agree to move. So to me, it's not very complicated. That it takes time for the object to figure out whether all its atoms can go the speed they've been advised to go. I mean, if you get hit by a bullet, I can only hope, what do you think is going to happen? Parts of you are going to go really, really fast because there doesn't have to be agreement. Your ass doesn't have to agree with your nose. They can do different things because of the way you're configured. So, but these hard objects can't make choices like that. The nose has to go with the ass. So they have to agree. Agreement takes time. Alright, since cart 1 has no more energy to transfer, yeah, that I will agree that all the energy went into the second cart. It's just that some of it had to be reflected because it couldn't absorb it. Yeah, is twice as massive. It will bounce off cart 2, creating a recoil effect. I don't know. It has no more energy to transfer, and since cart 2 has twice as massive, it will bounce off cart 2, creating a recoil effect. I don't even know what that means. Since cart 1 has no more energy to transfer, so it stopped. And since cart 2 is twice as massive, it will bounce off cart 2. How can it bounce when it stopped? But I don't understand how the recoil can happen in your theory. It's a reflection, fucker. How many times do I have to say it? It's a reflection. The energy reflects. It goes into the object, bounces off the other side, you could just say, and flies back in the opposite direction. An electron on the end of the surface. You hit the surface here. An electron on the end of the surface bounces out over here. and it finds out the rest of the atom isn't going with it. And so then the reflection is basically the electron just going back in again, and now the wave of energy goes back. It's a reflection, shithead. Fuck, you're stupid. Can you explain my comprehension? You don't miscomprehend, you slander. You're a slandering, evil little putz. Okay, I never suggested any of the crap you made up in this nonsense of a video. Alright, so I don't think we'll bother with Johnny Walker. Goofy thinks that there's a square somewhere in the equation. What? But obviously I'm kind of down on the whole squaring thing idea. That she has to square the entire equation. Oh, well, we'll just leave that alone. That's just too silly. Too silly a lie. So let's see what Brozo said. Let's see. I'm not sure who you are referring to when you say you. Shit. Who are you actually arguing with? It helps to be specific. I wonder. Huge problem here, though. Unless I am misunderstanding you, you appear to be claiming something happens which patently does not happen. I don't know. The two-mass cart does not only acquire up to 50% of the velocity of the one mass. So, yes. So Brozo's just pointing out, no, you have to understand the free energy part. So, yes, it goes much faster. I don't think Dispar thinks otherwise. He's just arguing that somehow my theory doesn't work. Okay, that somehow there's not conservation of momentum when I've explicitly said, I mean, go ahead and, cut my, pass a law in Congress that my head gets cut off when I defend non-conservation of momentum. I mean, it's too ridiculous an accusation, frankly. It actually acquires up to 66%, not only according to Walter Lewin's clear explanation. So what a lie. I mean, what a fucking cunt lie that is. Where's Walter Lewin's clear explanation of, free momentum being reasonable? Yeah, there's no clear explanation. He marries two formulas for which there is complete contradiction. So he basically uses two formulas and creates a derivative. So he says mv equals energy, and then he says 1/2 mv squared equals energy. And now he puts those two things equal to each other. So he takes two statements that are in direct contradiction, have directly different answers to the same question, and he puts them into one formula. Isn't that just either poison apples or apple poison? I mean, what's the difference? The two-mass cart does not acquire... Okay, let's see. But in actual careful experiments that only the human plant pot disputes... So, I don't know what... Obviously, I sat there and so I'll do it again, just for them. I'll show Professor Lewin's lie carts with the clay on them. So instead of addressing the fact that that clay shouldn't be there and that those carts can't possibly weigh the same amount, be 2 to 1 in their weight, they just keep running away from that argument, these despicable lying creeps, and saying that somehow is a credible experiment, even though I have direct evidence of how it can't possibly be what he says. They can't possibly weigh what he says they weigh. If you want to actually see what's happening, measured as accurately as possible, considering the suffering with COVID at the time, you will see actually come up very close to the figure 64.8 to be precise. I don't know. He's claiming his own video does something. He shows 4 seconds of video, okay, with his air carts. It's completely useless shit video. The whole point of me going to such a lot of trouble to not only in the example you cite here, but also another 30 examples to help everyone see in context. So I don't know what this 30 other examples is. So he did the experiment without springs and it didn't work at all. So technically it should work with any elastic interaction. So it should work without the springs. So he doesn't have any explanation for why it doesn't work without springs. was so we could move on from the haphazard guesswork that the plant pot specializes in. So whatever that means. I specialize in having a sense of credibility, and I like things with integrity. I like things done well and honestly. And you do them badly and insanely dishonestly. So you have a prediction of 12 and 16. You get a result of 14 and claim your experiment it proves it, when clearly it couldn't have proven anything. I mean, your billiard ball experiment is in complete contradiction to Ian Gosling's experiment, and yet you're claiming victory somehow. How could you possibly have a victory if the experiment has it's nowhere close, nowhere near it, nothing. It's impossible for a rational or reasonable person to claim it came out perfectly, because it didn't. Alright, let's see. The whole point is me going, okay, we already did. Otherwise, you are just plain wrong, mate. Simple as. So he completely misunderstands Disbar's video, which is hilarious. Please just watch 1 minute of footage I took care to provide so we could get past Gary's garbage claims. Link below. Well, that ought to be interesting. He has a link to what? yeah, we'll see. A 1 minute video, one of his famous 1 minute videos. My damn. Again, having cigarette troubles. Ugh. What's the hang up here, buddy? Huh? How come you're not working? You son of a bench fucking bastards. Recharging my battery. Ugh, God damn it. How could I have these issues? Life should not be this complicated. I guess my solar panel's out or something. What the fuck's going on here? There's always something. Can't see either, which is, makes this a little bit difficult. Yeah. Alright, where the hell is, there it is. Okay, it's put in there. Let's see if we can make it work. Over here. Oh, damn. Oh, there it goes. Okay. And I guess my solar panel's out for some reason. No, it's on. Oh, I don't get that at all. Alright. I do hate disruptions in my nicotine. See, the only way you can take reading this crap is to get your brain full of something. Alright, please just watch. Alright, I tried desperately hard to make it clear what actually happens in the very same example at 21 something into this video. 31 elastic. So again, he's going back to the cart experiments. I don't know, where he banged big giant cart into big giant cart with, springs. Again, he's releasing with his hands the carts. Alright, it takes a specific amount of time to occur, as you see. Alright, so we'll just watch a little tiny bit of this crap. Bros, okay, he doesn't have the time-coded video, so yeah, I don't think we'll bother. 6 seconds.
Elastic collision
fuck. No, we're not going to do that. Grotesque. Ugh. God, what an ugly motherfucker. So, yeah, he got all these little jerky lines. He's doing this, whatever he's doing thing. Okay. But anyway, there's nothing to take seriously. His experiments are filthy, cruddy pieces of crap. Let's see if there's any experiment actually in here. So this is one of his goofy carts. So the weights are bouncing all over the place. He has spring of who knows what K value. Yeah. And then he does the experiment without any precision in terms of actually measuring what the values would be at the time of... and there's a fart sound all over it. Okay, so he does all of this frame counting. We don't get to see any of that. You can't. The video quality isn't good enough to do any of that, frankly. So we just have to trust Steven. Well, fuck that. All right. So anyway, there were no comments from you on that. So perhaps you were busy with music or whatever this means. I didn't get many views because it was the truth, and the truth is sometimes being compared to outlandish claims. No, your videos are ugly, disgusting, sloppy pieces of shit that nobody could understand, but you can't watch them because there's crap typed all over the fucking goddamn video. Claims that I don't know, the scientists don't know what they're talking about, and somehow a plebe from New Jersey. So let's understand, this was debated for 150 years by physics. This isn't a nothing subject. If the answer was blah, 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 if they could, and all they needed to do was produce the experiment where it takes 4 times the fuel to go twice as fast, and they can't do it. Who sits in his basement doing scientific equivalent of masturbating all day. So whatever that could even mean. This isn't science. Science isn't saying you don't have sufficient evidence for a claim you're making. That's not a scientific statement. Scientists should just be like religion. The preacher says so, you believe, the end. And that's what you're advocating. You don't need evidence, you just need the preacher to tell you so. Alright, sorry if I wasn't clear enough, but I mean Gary. I have made a couple of videos and he has responded to them in this recent live stream. The video is a continuation of that debate. Yeah, well, it doesn't have much continuity. All I'm doing is trying to understand the depth of how his theory works. No, the point is there's nothing wrong with momentum. Momentum works in space, it understands bullets, and it understands gun recoil. Momentum never fails to get the right answer or to get a rational answer. You're the one saying that momentum doesn't get right answers, okay? So fuck you. This isn't complicated. That's a good comment, but yeah, it's supposed to be about what Gary thinks. Again, and what is so complicated about what I'm saying? I'm saying there's no such thing as vector and scalar. There's no nonsense that somehow you don't have to account for momentum going that way when you make momentum this way. That anything moving, any mass moving is a mass moving. It counts. You can't bang a bowling ball into bowling pins and say, because it's a bunch of little pins moving, it's not the same. I don't have to add it up. It doesn't have to be conserved, the energy. Of course it does. I mean, this isn't that complicated, you lying pieces of shit. Ugh. Well, let's see if there's any commenters on this video. Read another Brozo comment. Oh, fuck. What a moron. Alright. I don't know what this is. I haven't seen this name before. Ashlon. How frustrating is YouTube? Remember the good old days. I miss those. I don't know what that even means. So many variables to factor in with physics. Now this isn't, there's no variables here. It's so simple. MV versus some made up notion that you're supposed to square the velocity for no good reason. I mean, it's just as simple as 9.8 meters per second. What does that mean? Does that mean per foot? So when it says 9.8 meters per second in falling, that's what you're gaining from falling, 9.8 meters per second. I'm supposed to believe I just measure how many feet I fall, and that tells me how many times 9.8 happened, or I measure the time. Now, is that all that complicated? Is that very many variables? No. It's pretty simple to understand. I put a 1 pound weight on a spring, and then I put a 2 pound weight on a spring. I've done 2 units of work, you could argue, pretty obviously. It didn't take more work to add the second unit of weight, did it? No, it wasn't more. It wasn't like 4 times as much work to lift the second one. All right. What are the things made of? Metal balls will react differently. I mean, you're just so far from being part of this conversation, frankly. This is a 2-year argument. I mean, we're not going to answer all your questions. Plastic balls filled with water, for example, I guess now. So, whatever. Can we get Ian Gosling to do a live debate so he can't avoid the argument? that would be interesting. Yeah. I'm willing. Skype, you know. I'm assuming Brozo refuses debate. Well, Brozo can't speak enough English, frankly. So I don't know what to say there. He'll just go on some tirade about how in 1917 I suggested speakers were, you know, made out of chloroform and cotton balls and blah blah blah. You know, he'll just make up some stories. I mean, he can't. You know, there's nothing to debate. But yeah, like I said, I'm willing to attempt the conversation, but I'm not going to be lied about. I mean, for free. Yeah, god damn it, thing went out again. What the hell is going wrong with my recharging system here? This is no good. It's very bad, very bad, very bad, very bad. I will not be able to perform my duties. Ugh. You probably have the damn thing on backwards again, Gary. If I reverse the polarity again, oh god damn, are you really dumb? You can't learn some lessons I don't learn very well. Yeah, it's the truth. Son of a bitch. You just can't break the instinct, you know. So once you learn that red is positive and you know, and black is negative, it's kind of, you know, your brain jumps to the conclusion. So my brain jumped to the conclusion. So I put the red lead on the red lead, and I have to just keep remembering. You know, I don't have enough alligator clips, and so I end up using a red one for a black conductor, and that's not a good idea. Apparently. Okay, because I apparently can't remember. The red one's really the ground. Alright, anyway. I think Ian's doing a live debate will cause him to focus on the argument instead of maneuvering away from it. It'd be even interesting if these assholes actually debated with each other. You know, if they actually had to have a conversation where they collectively ignore every argument I've made. Yeah. When using a spring, for example, how strong does the spring have to be? Well, that's not the subject, really. So it's. I mean, just adding a complication. I mean, the subject is about whether there is kinetic energy. How springs function is kind of another subject, but obviously they do have some nuances. Stiff springs affect things differently than loose, fluffy springs. Yeah, you could say. A few days ago, you were watching a guy in zero gravity bumping tennis balls together. Yes. You don't like how half the energy is lost when they stick together. I don't think it makes any sense, is what I'm saying to you quite clearly. Clearly the momentum isn't lost, so we conserve the momentum, yet we lost half the energy. Now, somehow that makes sense to you. It makes zero sense to me. Can't come close to making any sense. What would happen if the two balls had the same speed in opposite directions, collided and stuck together? Wouldn't they stop completely? No, they don't stop completely. They turn, they do lots of different things because the energy has to be converted into heat or something else, and it's really hard to do that with two tennis balls. That would be the kind of obvious argument. You know, that whatever mechanism you're using to stick them together is going to get stressed an awful lot. Because you could actually start a fire. You could actually burn paper by smashing two steel balls in opposite directions. So, I mean, obviously it's going to be an awful lot of heat you have to create. But you can't destroy the energy in any way. And if you don't see the object moving, then you know there's heat. You know that that's where it went. So if the object stopped moving, okay, there's not that there's no momentum, zero momentum. It's just that you've converted it into a bunch of other directions and basically you've basically scattered the energy. Is momentum conserved in that scenario? All KE is lost. Anyway, there's no. I mean, I'm just saying. As soon as you say all KE is lost, it can't mean anything to me. I believe in conservation of energy. Okay, so I don't care whether you call it kinetic energy or call it momentum. You have to conserve the energy. So if the energy isn't apparently in a system, you have to see where it apparently went, because it had to go somewhere. Oh fuck! It's still not working. Son of a bitch. Yeah, it's still not working because you probably fried it, asshole. That is true. So I have no battery for which to run my cigarette. If your cigarette isn't working, it might be the coil. No, it's not the coil. It's the battery. I fried my battery recharger, so I'm out of luck. That's what it comes down to. So I have to make a new recharger. This reverse polarity thing is really a pain in the ass. But I've done it before, as the saying goes. Let's see, maybe I can make something out of this battery. I don't know, is the doorbell still on? Don't know if it's recharged or not. Well, I'll find out soon enough. I don't think it is. Is this plugged into anything? No, it isn't. Alright, so that's going to be a dead battery too. Maybe. Yeah, no, it's going to be dead. I have to find a decent battery. Where did I put all my batteries? I put them all in a container somewhere. But who knows where? Oh, I guess that's one there. Let's see if this one has anything in it. Just irritating. Fuck. Stupid mistakes. Stupid mistakes are irritating. Alright, let's see. Yeah, new cigarette, whatever this is. Right, it goes to heat. Is momentum conserved in that scenario? Yeah, okay. Yeah, new cigarette. I don't know what that. At what age did you first get into physics, and when did you first realize the mainstream was flawed? Well, I've sort of explained it lots of times. I remember, I have vivid memory of the first time I saw them draw a photon on the chalkboard as this wavy crap. And that's when I said, fuck you. Physics, they're liars. There's no way photons have all those functions. You know, it seems quite obvious that photons are little bits of radiation. And there's no way they're doing all this complex, complex functionality just ain't what a photon is. So there's no way it's traveling. It knows how to snake through space and all. Well, anyway, so that was a big, the end. And then the two-slit experiment, I don't remember that as a kid. So I can't make that argument. But the whole wave theory, I was just really down on. It just made no sense to me. The universe is not a bunch of spontaneously generating wave thingies. Yes, I need a transformer. So all I need is a 3-volt or but yeah, that's the trick, right? All the transformers are low amperage, generally speaking, and I need enough amps to burn the coil. Well, anyway, it's another subject. I would say that momentum is conserved when the balls are moving in opposite directions. So would I. I don't, what do you think, how are they going to move in opposite directions? If I crash them in this way, the momentum's conserved. They move in opposite directions. This one gives that one its energy. This one gives this one that energy. They move in opposite directions. We're talking about an experiment that creates free momentum. All right, so if you think it's possible to make more momentum, that is, you go in with this, the experiment makes 133 going this, so you start with 100 in. The experiment makes 133 going this way and 33 going that way. That's the argument. It makes a total of motion, objects moving, okay, that's 166, and you only put 100 in. That's the problem, Chris. When the balls are moving in opposite directions, one has momentum mv and the other one has momentum minus mv. So again, if whatever that means, I think that's just absolute baby talk. The universe only cares about mass moving. It doesn't care which way it moves. It's just idiotic to say that the light on the opposite side of the light bulb is somehow canceling the light coming out the other side of the light bulb. It's just bullshit. Okay, mv and the other one has momentum minus nv. The total momentum is mv minus momentum. It's idiotic to have 166 actual momentum in the universe and for some moron to say the total momentum. But whatever. So the 33 on one side cancels the 33 on the other side by some magical mechanism. It's not real motion. If it was bullets, I shot a bullet this way, I shoot a bullet that way, they cancel, nobody gets shot. I mean, it's baby talk. Well, again, you're saying they stop moving, but they really don't. In a lot of cases, they start, the motion gets turned into angular motion, lots of things happen. So that's just not true, frankly. The universe doesn't care what I think is baby talk. Well, you claim the universe thinks you can make free momentum, so you're an idiot, a fucktard, a moron. I claim the universe wants to puke, on your head because you're stupid. Yeah, you're really stupid. Fuck you. Till dead. One hopes you get what you deserve, moron. Don't question the God, the living force God. The God of the living force. How dare you? What a good argument. Sarcasm. I don't know. You just, it obviously everybody on Earth uses it. Okay, so even in Newton's time, they were pretty sarcastic. Galileo called his adversaries, imbecilious and stupido. If it's good enough, if sarcasm, worked for Galileo, I think I can do it too. Then why not? So I'll call you imbecilious. What's your what have you shown up and said? Huh? What's your great contribution, America boy? Whatever that means, right? What does that say? Yeah, that's what it says. She thinks he's a superhero. Well, duh, he's a troll. Wow, you figured that out all on your own? Watch out, or he'll use his next best argument strategy and time you out. Okay, well, Chris, I could just block you, okay? I mean, this isn't relevant. You're not making... You think these are meaningful arguments? Let's argue about your style of argument and, how you make your arguments because they hurted our feelings and we can't take it. We got hurted feelings. I mean, what the fuck is your argument here? You're having a physics conversation. You can't stay on the fucking subject because somebody else said you have to be an idiot. Now, Ian Gosling made his video and he said, well, even a child could understand. And then he said, how could you be reasonable or rational and believe? And Gary's the only one on Earth who doesn't believe in our magical MV squared. How is it possible that he could be right and we could be wrong? Because isn't that the winning argument? The argument from population? we're popular people. He's unpopular. He must be wrong because he's unpopular. Didn't he just do that, you fuckhead? What an insane supposition. What's that? Where's your... What? 4 words. So what's insane is paying any attention to assholes who can only type 4 words. God says so. Oh, that's 3. Yeah. Why don't you just keep typing that over and over? Because that's all you have to say. You're just defending dogma. You're not defending science. Or any science you know. Damn, another dead battery. One of them's got to have a charge. Eventually I'll find a battery with a charge. Maybe. Hopefully. It is terribly distracting. Sorry about that, but price I pay and the price you have to pay for addiction. Another battery to be recharged. Oh, fuck. Let's try one of these red ones. Come on, Reddy. Yeah. Come on. Show us that you red batteries are superior to the rest. Come on. Show us your power. No. Another dismal failure battery. When I made the other charger, I just gave up on these batteries and started using the flat packs, and yeah. So I don't know. I guess I don't have any of these recharged. Anyway, let's see. I heard one physicist say that the wave is just a spiral viewed from the side in one of my simulation videos. I tried replicating it. I don't know though. Whatever. Waves are just emergent properties. They're not elemental properties. Nothing waves elementally. So who cares? Wave theory. I got no use for it. That's just my statement. You want to believe in it, that's your business. I think I've proven there's no need for to understand anything as a wave. It's better understood as discrete bits of energy. Alright. Well, why doesn't he just explain? Now, we could just have a simple statement for America Boy. Okay, let's just say it says gravity is 9.8 meters per second. So why is it irrational to say the energy would be, if I wanted to know how much energy something has, I would multiply the gravitational constant times how many units of time I was being affected by the constant. So I would do mgt, not mgh. Yes, well, whatever. I can't go to the car. Let's see. At present, one argument you think is inadequate, and present one argument you think is adequate. I don't know what that is a response to. Let's see. I'll wait until that happens. I don't even know what that means. What's your opinion? I mean, you'll wait in the, fuck if I give a damn room. Yeah, that's what you're going to do. You're waiting if you're going to be totally unresponsive. Acceleration due to gravity is 9.8 meters per second squared. Doesn't matter, okay? That's just a statement. It doesn't mean anything. The squared part doesn't mean anything. Do you really think every second it's 9.8 meters squared, which would be whatever, 9 times, it'd be a 97 units of gravity potential. No, it's 9.8 meters per second is the speed of gravity. Okay, little g is 9.8 meters per second. I mean, you're just too stupid. I mean, the thing, if what you're saying is true, then something would be going 100 miles an hour after just 2 seconds. Idiots. Do you comment here or present one argument you think is a good one on that video? What video are you talking about? DS, have you tried the... Oh, fuck you. I don't want no herb fucking bullshit. Anyway, just leave me alone. No, I don't think that. Don't straw man me. I don't know what you're talking about. But nothing new. Commenters. Why is there no America thingy? Why is there no physical evidence of it? In all of the history of science, showing it taking 4 times more fuel to go twice as fast. I mean, why don't you have a single fucking experiment in 350 years? Not one single experiment. Why? Let's see. No, I don't think that's what it means. You don't straw man me. I don't know what that is. No, that's not what it means. Meters per second squared means meters per second per second. What's the difference? I'm just saying, do you think it's 9.8 meters per second? That's how much force you're getting from gravity. 9.8 meters per second of velocity. That's what you're getting. After 1 second in gravity, you are going 9.8 meters per second. You've only traveled 5 meters, but you're going 9.8 meters per second. And after 2 seconds, you're going 19.6 meters per second. That's the rate you're acquiring velocity. Do you deny that? So it's clearly acquired in units of time, not units of feet. The lever argument, bowling ball, should see, and truck arguments are pretty good videos. I think that after 1 second, the object free falling is going 9.8 meters per second. That's right. But after 2 seconds, it's going twice that. Exactly. Just twice. Not squared. What are you talking? So again, there's no point talking to you people. It accelerates 9 every second. Right. So why wouldn't I count? If I want to know how much it's accelerated, don't I just count how many seconds it's been accelerated? Isn't that exactly the math I do? I multiply the rate, 9.8 meters, times the time. I don't measure how many feet it moved. I mean, it's just ridiculous to say the per second per second. Nobody says I'm going 60 miles an hour per hour. Everybody already knows that part. Yes, you're going 60 miles an hour. Yes, you'll do it every hour as long as the car is pointed in the right direction and running. Yes, that's what you'll keep doing. Not complicated. So in no other circumstance do you bother per seconding. Just in this circumstance, where it can't mean anything because if you multiply 9.8 meters times itself, you're going to get a preposterously big number that's not going to have anything to do with the truth. Well, that battery had something, but not much. 6 batteries I've been through now. Time for me to go back to school. I don't know what that means, but whatever. Does he still fail to grasp acceleration? So again, this is just, fuck you in the ass. I mean, what does that even mean? Do you fail to grasp what velocity is? And the change doesn't make it special? I mean, going faster or going slower isn't all that miraculous. It just requires that you apply a force and you change what the other thing is doing. Wow. What's so miraculous? Why do I need to square anything? Why is acceleration squared value and 60 miles an hour isn't? The 30 miles an hour of force you apply to change your velocity is not some kind of special force. It's not more special than the force it took you to go 30 miles an hour. Ah, that felt good. Yeah, something. The battery's weak, but it's something. Ah, it's already dead. Son of a bitch. Anyway, 30 miles per hour of force doesn't mean anything. I don't know what that means. It doesn't mean anything. But fine. It's opposing momentum, right? I mean, you change your velocity by having something impose or add a different momentum. I use whatever 100 milligram nicotine, blah blah blah. It's like 5 years of wait or 5 carats of time. I don't know what that means, but whatever. Yeah, I just don't know. It's a rate is the point. So, I mean, you're saying here's the rate. How often does the rate happen? And so I just multiply the rate times the number of times the rate happened, whatever the time interval is. So if it's in seconds, then I just tell how many seconds was it. And then I multiply those numbers and I get my answer. Well, some of them are not even that. If we're not going to be extremely careful, we will pollute all those software data storage places with crap. Well, they're already so polluted. I don't know what you're worried about. When they will take over and will be based on. And broken science, I don't think we know the difference anymore. It's a general question, and if it doesn't fit, I think we all can know the difference between believing because you have strong evidence for an argument and no evidence. I mean, everybody knows O.J. was guilty. The evidence was overwhelming. A ton of evidence proved O.J. guilty, and yet the jury said, and then a month later they showed the picture of him holding with his hands in the gloves and with the Bruno Mollies on his feet. Well, anyway, just so obvious. I'm just saying, this is just a courtroom, right? So you people, there's a bunch of people who are arguing they don't have to show me it taking 4 times the fuel to go twice as fast. They can just say it over and over and over. They can just say it forever and ever and ever. And they don't have to show a single experiment demonstrating it to be true. And that they can use, dropping round things into clay and somehow saying that proves that it's 4 times the energy. Because when you drop a round thing into clay, it's basically not a fair fight, and the round thing will demonstrate that there's 4 times the energy when something's going twice as fast. When, you can understand now the round thing is making that effect. Okay, it didn't really do 4 times the work because the shape change of the object is helping make the work easier for one object than for the others. I could explain that when something rolls on a surface with friction, that it only it goes 4 times the distance, but only takes twice as long. 4 times the distance, but it's only doing it twice as long. And that it only loses half its speed when it's 3/4 down the track. So instead of being half as fast in the middle where it should be if the force was linear, If the friction was linear and the same per foot, then you'd be at half the velocity at half the track. And it clearly doesn't come out that way. Clearly demonstrating that the friction isn't the same. The faster you're going, the less friction. And it doesn't matter to you morons. You'll say that isn't true when it's obviously true. Is your problem your vape? I already explained. Look, I have a little device that does the battery recharging of the lithium battery, and I crossed the polarization and burned out the recharger. So my battery didn't recharge the usual battery. So I'm using these backup batteries that I haven't recharged for a month, and they're all used batteries. They all have a different amount of value in them, and blah, 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 blah. And so none of them are fully charged. And so yes, I'm having a hard time finding 3.7 volts that I need for this, but I need the 3.7 volts at a full amp or more, so I don't have that available. Well, you got that right. I get a pack of cigarettes now and then. Somebody sends me, which is very nice, but they shouldn't do it because they're too expensive. But anyway, but it really is a treat. Yeah, a real cigarette really is. It really is. But whatever, it's just a nuisance addiction. 60 years, 50 years of fucking pointless burning holes in things. Oh. We'll try one of these. These light blue batteries suck. We'll try one anyway. Let's see. Is there a science channel on YouTube that you follow? Even so, maybe don't agree with everything appreciated. I don't know. No. I mean, they're all liars. They're all defenders of a fable. They just keep preaching the fables. So none of them have any integrity. None of them will respond. I've offer them thousands of dollars to refute my claims, and they won't do it. So I have no respect for scientists. They're all fucking cowards. I mean, the ones that aren't on big channels, I've offered to pay them real money, hundreds of dollars. And, as soon as they find out what the subject's going to be, they're all for it until I tell them what the subject's going to be, and then all of a sudden they're all against it. Because they know they're going to lose the argument. Because they know they can't, there's no rational response to their absence of evidence. They've had 350 years to compile some evidence, and they don't have any. They don't have any good evidence. Yes, that was really nice there, Guild fella. Yeah, I saw that pop in there, and I said, whoa, that's real money. So, very nice. I do send thank yous, so it's just that I do everything in a non-timely manner. It's just a fact. So you will eventually get some sort of, composition of a thank you. I hate thanking people because, it just makes you feel guilty and weird. It's very awkward, That's why I don't say much to people about donating, because it's just kind of awkward. I certainly don't want people who don't have the money to donate because, yeah, I mean, it sucks not having money. I've been there. I know what it is. And I'm not going to be homeless tomorrow, so certainly I wouldn't, it'd be nice to buy a cigarette device that actually works, but, I have to be frugal because it's expensive living. What would be the implications of you being absolutely right? Well, all of particle physics would be gone, so we could get rid of quarks and neutrinos and all that shit. So that would be the really big payday. But frankly, yeah, no, you don't change. You land on the moon the way my physics lands on the moon, right? Okay, Newton's physics lands on the moon. So I don't know what these nothing comments by this V60 thing, so I guess we just have to block him because that's just obnoxious, whatever that crap is. Alright. Yeah, PayPal takes a cut. Yeah, 3%, somewhere around there. You're very generous offering money to people who can try to make a fool out of you. Yeah, I think that's very nice of me. Yes, I'm being a flat earther who's saying, please, I'll pay you to debunk me. So I'm the outsider. I have no power. I'm just one person. I'm saying, yes, I'll even pay you to make fun of me. Go ahead, try. Try to make a credible video saying what I'm saying is garbage. Go ahead and try to do it. We've seen that they can't do it. Alright, so let's see. Yeah, it really did. Let's see. Of course, I'm real. LOL. I make videos on a separate channel. Anti-social ephelist. Somebody said you're not real. More interesting, what would you happen if you discovered you were wrong? Wrong about what exactly? I mean, so let's say the KE thing is true. Yes, I can't theoretically come up with any way the universe makes any sense. So, yeah, I'm stuck. Like, what do you mean there's free energy? I'm still stuck with like I said, I'm stuck with the fact there's no evidence for it. So it takes 4 times the fuel to go twice as fast, and yet I don't see that happen in my daily life anywhere. It doesn't work. Levers all of a sudden are incredibly useless devices. The whole thing doesn't make any sense. I'm sorry, I can't, it's hard to imagine me being wrong just because it's hard for me to imagine how the free energy machine can't be made. So you have to explain to me why I can't make it. Oh, come on, batteries. One of you fuckers have got to have some kind of charge. Why do you think mv squared means free energy? Because a lever proves it. A lever converts a 10-ton train going 5 miles an hour, put in one side, into a 10-ton train going 10 miles, 5-ton train going 10 miles an hour on the other side. A lever does it all the time. That's what levers do, is perfect conversions between uneven masses. So they're creating free energy all the time. That's why. Let's see. DS, while a paper and submit it to universities. So I've been there and tried that. There's no point, okay? Their physics is, they will not accept. They won't accept being paid to make a counter argument. You think they're going to publish me? Oh, come on. There's no such, you don't get reviewed by editors, you get reviewed by some asshole who doesn't know shit about physics, okay? They don't, I've tried to pay real physicists to write an argument. They won't do it, a counter argument. So let's just understand, I'm not going to get any editorial, no credible editor is going to reply to me and explain how I'm wrong. It's not going to happen. And like I said, I already did it on the gravity argument. I submitted a paper. They paid no attention, gave me no accountability. They just said, nope. So, I mean, what's the point? If you're not even going to get why you're wrong, if they won't even explain to you why you're wrong, then what's the point? You're not getting anything. There's no reason to block. I had no bad intentions. Have a nice day. Whatever that even means, fuckhead. Have a shitty day, shithead. I don't even know what you're up to. LL, you should just troll the local tech college and take their physics course for like $100 or $300. Yeah, well, I've tried to explain. I have personal reasons why that ain't going to happen, but whatever. Blah, 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 blah. Thank you for the advice. I think I should be able to pay them to make a response. What's the big deal? I remember Professor Lewin wouldn't take my money, and he had kind of an interesting excuse. See, because he has his own, he's working on his own unification theory, so he can't comment on mine without prejudicing his copyright rights to his own miraculous theory. Now, of course, that was 5 years ago, and he hasn't produced his theory, so that was really just a pile of horse shit. But anyway, it was kind of a funny response. But it was a response, like I said. So at least I have to give the man credit. He did respond to me. But it was bullshit. Oh, just pick up the batteries, Gary. Bring them over here. You won't have to go hunting for one. Oh, God damn it. I know I have charged batteries somewhere, and I just don't know where they are. Doesn't matter. I have to leave shortly. Very shortly. 5 more minutes. Alright, let's see. Do you have any evidence a lever can convert a big train going slow into half a train going twice as fast? That would be free energy, so I suspect there's no evidence of it happening. Every single time a lever oscillates, it proves the point. So I did a lever on my porch, a pendulum, or whatever you want to call it, a balance. And I put a one mass, one distance on one side, and a quarter mass, 4 distances on the other side. So you could say, well, what I actually did was I put one... I put 4 weights, 1 unit of distance, and I put 1 weight, 4 units of distance. And it oscillates perfectly. And the 4 units of distance means it's going 4 times the speed. So it perfectly oscillates, which means the energy has to be efficiently conserved, moving from one object to the other object in gravity. And so just by oscillating, that is a proof. There's no way it could oscillate if it wasn't true that the momentum is perfectly conserved. And it is. So I'm just telling you that, yes, if I instantaneously made the lever disappear, clearly the results are 5-ton train on one side going, well, in this case, it's, like I said, a 4-to-1 relationship. So it was even more dramatic. Let's see. So, yes, I think there is evidence. Look, Brozo's own experiment. So Brozo did an experiment with billiard balls. Okay, and clearly, okay, the billiard ball that was half the mass, twice the distance on the lever, clearly went twice the speed. I mean, it was 19 to 11. Okay, so yeah. But all of that could be just blamed on Brozo being an idiot. But pretty damn close to 2-to-1 relationship. A lot more than the 1.4 that conserving kinetic energy would require. So it clearly didn't conserve kinetic energy, so therefore it clearly did make free energy. Free kinetic energy. Alright, it says, I doubt, let's see, do you have any evidence? Okay, I doubt you will, because frankly you don't understand what the subject is about. You are just a fanatical cheerleader. So he says that to RL Truth, whatever that means. Really is disappointing humanity is like this. Yes, I mean, I wish people like you would be boiled in your own bullshit. Curious, there's any way to contact you. Why these people want to contact people? It's just so interesting. There's comment sections on videos, where you can type hundreds of words. At some point in that oscillation, the lever and weights are stationary. So there's the momentum energy at that point. Well, obviously it has to wait for the gravitational force to kick in and give back essentially the energy it took when it went up into the gravity. So it goes up into the gravity, loses the energy, and then it comes back down and gets the energy back. And does that over and over again. 1.7 is not in the middle. And it was clearly 1.8, but whatever. It was 1.79. Okay. And besides that point, I'm just saying it's clearly way over 1.4. Well, we already know he's a troll. They're all trolls. All the opposers are trolls because anybody who's done any physics knows levers produce twice the speed, half the mass, twice the speed. They know Professor Lewin even says so. Half the mass, twice the speed. You have to conserve the momentum. Regular physics believes you have to conserve momentum. So it's only these retards that think you don't have to. I mean, a regular physicist will tell you a lever conserves momentum. They're not going to tell you it conserves kinetic energy. Making accusations? What accusations except you're wrong and you have no evidence? That's my accusation. You have no physical evidence for your Jesus theory. I finally found a battery that works. Sorry about this. I really do need nicotine. Without it, I'm just helpless. Oh, that's just so much better. Brain is so chill now. It's just so chill. Yeah. Now, none of your kiddies, don't you dare smoke. Do as I say, not as I do. I mean, really, don't get addicted to nothing. It sucks. Addictions are bad, okay? What do you know about microgravity? There's only one gravity, period, at the end. Matter, anything material in the universe is going to create a gravitational effect because force hits it. Okay, and then it moves it. And anytime it moves, it's creating gravity. That's the simple answer. Or I suppose he's asking the other moron. I suppose. I don't know for sure. I mean, gravity's already a nuclear force. Saying microgravity is just almost, well, duh. It's already micro. I put an atom in the same orbit that the Earth is in. And it does exactly the same thing the Earth does, okay? Gravity affects it exactly the same way. Yeah, well, cannabis isn't really physically addicting, so that's sort of a lame kind of habit problem. That's bad habit. That's not a physiological addiction. Just bad habits. It's like being addicted to dessert or something. I mean, it doesn't really count. I mean, mice won't starve to death, you know, to get their cannabis. But they will starve to death to get their nicotine. I mean, they found that, you know, nicotine is actually more addictive than heroin. As funny as that sounds, but yeah, when they did a head-to-head contest, the mouse that was addicted to heroin and nicotine chose the nicotine first. If he had to only satisfy one addiction, it was always the nicotine first. And such. Yes, I am realized. Thank you.
10 of 10.
I realized. Thank you, I said. Yeah, I have some vapable cannabis, actually. Saving it for a rainy day. And it hasn't rained enough yet. So, whatever. Yeah, I'm just, you know, I'm not a big fan of the whole drug culture thing. Just sounds like a bunch of lazy fucktards to me. Lazy thinking, lazy attitude, lazy. Escapism is all it is. Frankly, my plants last year were 9 feet tall. Yeah, so my tomatoes were that tall. Anyway, whatever. Facts. Though my tolerance is so tremendous I don't actually get high anymore. Well, that just makes no sense then. Nicotine cravings are much stronger though. Agreed. Whatever. I mean, if your tolerance has gotten so bad for marijuana, I would take a break just to, you know, just to get back to where you can enjoy it again. But whatever. I mean, do whatever. Like I said, the whole drug culture thing just seems like such a, you know, it's just a wank, you know. It's just a cheap wank. Anyway, gotta quit for 2 days and get better weed. Yeah, well, whatever. Whatever is all I'll say. I'm not for laws against it, but I ain't for it. That's all I'll say. Okay, where can I find the video of your lever oscillating? It's on my channel. I mean, you know, type in the word lever or something. There's probably lots of examples of levers, frankly. Yeah, it's like a year ago, more, something like that. Yeah, it's on YouTube because I put it on YouTube on purpose, just so people could see it on YouTube. So I think it's a YouTube video, yes. Alright. I can probably find it, but whatever. No, on Ramble. Yes, on YouTube. Whatever that means. I don't have anything on Ramble, whatever that is. Anyway, till the next time and such, do have to go. So, till the next time. Blah, 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 blah.